It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity.
So, got Professor Murph.
What's going
We're
on?
going to have ourselves a little bit of a war party. All right. Well, you know the deal. Tell us about this campaign.
All right, all right. Do you want me to share my screen?
I got it. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
I'll bring your campaign up. I might have you share your screen a little bit later, though. So go ahead and talk some more about it. You're doing pretty good, actually. You crossed the $20,000 mark.
Yeah, I mean,
phenomenal.
it's very happy with it. It's not my first crowdfunding campaign, but it's my first comics crowdfunding campaign. Everything else I've done is animation. So,
Nice.
but
So
yeah,
you had
it's-
like an animated television show you was pitching?
it was a movie. I'm still working on it actually, but I have a lot of different animators working on it. It's called Dogtown. It's got George Foreman doing a voice in it, Stacey Dash, Jason Begay.
Nice.
I've been, financing that for years, but just wanted to get back into comics, tell some other stories, create another IP. And
How far
is
is Dogtown? Like how much?
It's about halfway done. Yeah, I need to raise a few more six-figure sums to get it finished. Animation's hand-drawn animation's expensive, so it's comics are really affordable, honestly, when it comes to storytelling, visual storytelling medium. As you know, it's really not that much money to make a quality comic book.
Like with Dogtown, are you doing it in like a anime type, American anime type of style, or are you going to go with the old school?
It's kind of Ralph Bakshi, if you're familiar with Ralph Bakshi's films, like Heavy Traffic.
Oh, okay, like Fritz the Cat.
Fritz the Cat. Okay, a little more sort of graphic than that, but that kind of vibe. But this is totally different style-wise. You may be able to tell, but I grew up with artists like Michael Golden, Brian Boland, Bernie Wrightson. Those are my
I'm
guys.
there with you, dude.
Yeah, so I like the way they draw. Mid to late '80s, even '70s. Savage Sword of Conan, Buscema and Conan. Those are my comics. So I'm really more of an '80s comics guy than a '90s comics guy, honestly. But yeah, it's just me and James Brown. He does colors for IDW. For G.I. Joe.
Like is that when he's not singing? Like doing
yeah, exactly. You notice he goes by J Brown. J. Brown, because if he puts James Brown, it just, I don't know. Maybe it's a trademark issue. But
living in America.
Yeah, I do all the writing and the art. He does the colors. So it's just a two-man team,
I like the colors. Like he's doing a badass job.
Yeah, he's good. I've been using him for years. He did a graphic novel with me called Clavern back in 2008. It's like a Civil War book. It was a 200-page graphic novel. So we've worked together a lot. But we're a three-man team because you're one of those men, and there's your work. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. You have like a deep fascination with the Civil War, right?
Oh yeah.
Some of your paintings and stuff like that.
It's my favorite period in American history. I love it. Some of the best personalities, some of the best military commanders ever. What's up, Don?
We got Don and we got Ace. I'll send you a link, Ace, if you want to come in.
But yeah, when I had you do this painting, I wasn't really sure yet what I was going to do with it. I was like, well, maybe I'll do prints, and when I got the idea to do an issue 0, here's what happened. I started off, this was an 8-issue miniseries, and I realized that's going to be too much. 8 issues is going to be too much, even as far along as I was. And I wanted to do a $25 per because I know that's the magic number. People like those 25. I couldn't offer 8 issues for $25. It was just too much.
No,
so I had to
work on that.
No way. I had to condense it down to 6, which I did. But by doing that, I was like, I had to cut some of the backstory behind my Diane character, the one you did the painting of. So I decided to offer an issue 0 as a secret perk to the backers, and that would be her backstory. So that's where your cover is going. It's going on the cover of issue 0.
So let me ask you a question. So you're doing 6 issues plus an issue 0. Like, are these going to be each one's going to be a floppy? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah. They're 6-issue floppies. So you look right there. It's about 140 pages, not counting 0. 0 will ship later, like by next Christmas. So 0 is one of those things they could back now. I only offered 250 copies. Half of them are already gone. 250, that's all I'm printing. Those are going out next December. This will go out in June. So it gives you a flashback to her, how she got her powers, where she came from. And, yeah, I'm taking this thing beyond just the French and Indian War. That's just this issue, or this series, is the French and Indian War. This is what sort of kicks it all off. And the werewolf dude you see there, his little daughter, was abducted by a war party and taken to be sold to the French. This happened a lot in the French and Indian War. They were slaughtering whole families and taking children into slavery. It was horrible. And so he wants to get his daughter back. So he just wants his daughter back. So it's kind of like Taken meets Last of the Mohicans meets The Howling. So, and yeah, so Diane's the one that helps him, because she's the one with the power. She knows how to, she knows the secrets of the whole Skinwalker transformation thing. And he teams up with his brothers and a couple other guys who are basically ex-French and French and British soldiers that were going to be executed for insubordination and desertion. The three
Most of
brothers,
the like, do you do all this digital, or is it
yeah, I draw everything digital.
okay.
Yeah, it's so much faster for me, honestly. And I didn't used to like inking. I used to just do penciling, and I'd have somebody else ink my work.
Yeah.
And once I discovered digital inking, I fell in love with inking. I loved it. I like the way the brush feels, or the pen feels on the screen, on the tablet, and it's just faster, man. And as you know, time is really important when you're doing this kind of stuff. You gotta find any way you can to speed up the process, but not sacrifice quality. And digital allows me to do that. So I love it.
For me, it didn't work out so well because I'm
Some
OCD.
people hate it, but keep in mind, I'm not using a tablet in my lap. I'm using a Cintiq, so I'm drawing on the screen like this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
had a
love
Cintiq.
it,
So
love it.
Yeah, you can. Those are awesome. You can adjust the height and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And,
You can even
Yeah.
put nibs on the tips that feel like pencils. They're made out of some kind of fiber. They're gray, light gray,
Yeah.
and they're toothy, and they drag on the screen a little bit more, so it's not so slick. It feels a little bit more
the
like
newest
resistance.
Cintiqs, from what I understand, they're fucking huge, dude. Like,
Yeah.
they're actually really reasonably priced too. Like for $2,000, you can get a Cintiq like this.
I love it, man. I'm seriously. I miss having original art. I did one original piece, which was that poster you saw there.
Yeah.
And it sold for $1,250 or $1,200 or something. But it was the only original piece that I created. Everything else is digital, other than your painting, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is right there on the wall over there.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
There it is. So if it doesn't sell, guess where it's going to stay? Right there on the wall. So,
I've recently been having a hard time like getting rid of my original artwork for some odd reason. And usually I'm not like that. Usually I'm able to separate myself from the work,
Yeah.
to where it's like it's just another piece. But for some odd reason, I've been thinking of like I should have work. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Well, right. Well, and you know how it is with original art. You got to find that one person that wants to pay that amount of money for.
Well, no, it's not that. Like selling, it's easy. Like that's the problem. Is that as soon as I create it, it's
gone.
Pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And
Well, yeah.
like
I bought yours.
Yeah,
off
well,
you, so
I don't have pieces like even when I did fan art, like my Masters of the Universe pieces would go like crazy, and I was like, that's nuts, and it's that's the only thing I've like now I'm like maybe I should start keeping some of the work now that I'm not desperate for money or anything like that. Like I'm like, it's there's nothing wrong with keeping a painting or two, and hanging it up.
Not at all.
And
Not at all.
I've also started collecting other people's work too. Like so it's definitely, and I've been doing collaborations with other artists. That's fun. I really like that because it breaks up the monotony, and it kind of reinvigorates your creative juices a little bit. Yeah. And,
I want to do a crossover later on. Me and Eddie Winkler were talking just we're like, our books, these worlds are going to collide, man. Like they just need to. Like there's something in the DNA of both of our stories that I think fit well
Well,
together.
both of you guys have anthropomorphic characters, like
Right.
and it's not
Mine's
just
a little more mystical. His is a little more scientific superhero. But I was like, man, this I just see this, and he agreed. He's like, yeah, man, this is so. A few years down the road, once we finish our this campaign, and then I know
He's an old guy. I don't know if he has a few years to go.
He ain't as old as me, man. I'm like the oldest guy in comic skate, other than maybe Billy Tucci.
How old are you?
40. I'll be 47 in 2 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I published my first
old.
comic book in '92, dude. When Image hit the scene. Yeah, I was 17. It got distributed through Diamond and everything. I was sort of part of the whole black and white boom. Got lost in the shuffle, but
I think Edwin might be older than you, actually.
yeah, I mean,
Edwin's
there's a
like
few. I'm not
52
saying
or
some, but
something.
I'm older than Ethan. I'm older than John. I'm older than you.
I'm not that old, but
There's
not too far away.
Yeah, but I don't think it really matters. I mean, I think Kirby created the Fantastic Four when he was 46 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I think Stan Lee was a little bit older or a little bit younger.
Dude,
not much.
The best thing about art is you get better with age. It's the one thing. Like if you're an athlete, you hit your peak at 30 and it's downhill. Art is one of the few things that you actually improve with age. So.
I think people get used to when the 90s hit, you had a young McFarlane and a young Rob Liefeld come on the scene, but I think they're the exception to the rule. You know, see where I'm going with that? Because I think most artists, they hit their stride when they hit their late 30s and and mid 40s and stuff like that. And Don's 57.
Don's got me beat.
Don
All
does
right,
not
Don.
look 57 though. That's the.
All right.
No,
I didn't
Don
say I
looks
was
like a
the
youngster.
oldest.
Then
Yeah, I
we
didn't
got
say I was the
Brian.
oldest.
Brian's 62.
Brian, you're not. What's up, man?
52. So I'm right behind the great Don Shen. What's up, Murph?
What's going on, Brian? This
What's up,
guy's been following
What's
my
going on?
movie Dogtown for years.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Woo, boy, man. And you know what? I hope you manage to get that finished one of these days.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
I believe so too. But in the meantime, oh my God, do you have a kick-ass looking shapeshifter comic here?
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to read this, man. I'm a little pissed off though because you've got some really great werewolves, and I wanted to do a werewolf book, and
That's what Eddie said.
there's too many werewolf books.
I know. Well, hey, here's the thing. Werewolves are nothing new. They've been around forever. They've been done a million times. It's not like we're doing anything new. It's just how it is how you put it in your story, really. I mean, even like Eddie's is Sovereign Wolf, even though it's shapeshifter, our stories are incredibly different in how they happen. But yeah, we've been talking. I've been like, Eddie, man, we gotta down the line. We need to do a Sovereign Wolf War Party crossover book. He's like, yeah, man. I was like, that will go over really well, especially if we build an audience by then, both of us, and then we're able to combine. But,
Oh man, that would be intense.
but yeah, this is Dogtown.
I'm digging what I'm looking at here, dude.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm big on Ralph Bakshi. I grew up on Ralph Bakshi movies. I love his style. It's PG-13. It's about a pit bull that gets sent to the Super Bowl of underground dogfighting, and he has to lead a revolt to get out. So it's kind of like Animal Farm meets Gladiator.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say how much money into it, but I have investors. It's been going on for 7 years now.
I love the cityscape too, like the cityscape you got.
Yeah,
going.
isn't it
It's
beautiful?
that definitely feels like Ralph Bakši's.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
leaning buildings and everything.
Yeah.
But when you're drawing dogs like this for 7 years, I was about to go crazy. I said, I got to do something else. I need to take a break. And what's my break? A 6-issue miniseries. That's my break. that's just to show you how hard animation is. How much it'll suck your soul, man. Like it is exhausting.
I've heard.
Once I thought about getting into animation until I found out you have to do 27 frames per second, and I was
24.
like, 24, and I was like,
yeah.
it's not going to happen, dude. It's just not going to happen.
But here's the secret. You don't always have to do 24. We do something called twos, where we shoot every drawing twice. So you really only need to do 12. So there's a way to get around that. But-
Nah, fuck all that shit.
Well, you know, we have some animators in this scene. Like there's Joseph King, who has Slaughter Squad, which
Right.
looks freaking amazing, and he did like a animated short for that, which is
Bancroft.
hilarious. Bancroft.
Michael Bancroft's an animator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He did the Ethan thing, that whatever that Ethan cartoon was that got a
Oh,
lot of
okay, yeah.
traction.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And they, you know, and Joseph King actually used to work in the animation industry, and he talked about like how brutal and soul crushing.
It's
Well,
just
Kirby used to be in the anime. He used to work for Hanna-Barbera, you know, and he
Oh yeah,
hated it.
Alex
Like
Toth
it was,
too.
yeah. They
well,
both loved
Here-
it.
here's
He-
the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, a detailed comic book page, right? One that's like really involved, could take 2 days to draw, maybe longer, but generally, generally you're supposed to be able to do a page a day. Let's say you spend 2 days drawing up a comic page, a really, really detailed scene. That same scene animated, if you were to do it by yourself, would take months to get to tell the same amount of story. That's why it can be soul crushing, because when you do a comic book in a month, you have a whole book done. Think of the amount of story you were able to tell. In an animated film, you're working for years and years just to produce minutes.
I couldn't do that, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
it's-
just like
it's-
taking a puff off of a cigar. Yeah, will take you like months.
Yes, and I have a team. I have like 50 animators all over the world working on and off with me, and it's still,
Don't they have
takes
like
forever.
programs out there that actually like help?
Oh
with
yeah,
that? Like
it's
Toon
fast.
Boom?
I mean, it's digital. I don't use Toon Boom. I use TV Paint. It's still
Yeah.
I'm still drawing by hand, but we draw on the screen, on the Cintiq.
Like with Toon Boom, don't you create a armature? And
No.
basically-
This is Disney level frame by frame hand drawn. I don't do none of that cut out, paste, moving crap. No,
Yeah.
this is
Hell
real
yeah.
animation. Okay, sorry, this
Yeah.
is the real
Ain't no
thing.
how-
No,
Snapping.
I hear you. Like, I think Metalopolis, like the first few episodes of Metalopolis, I think the first season was done with Toon Boom, and then they moved on to
Well,
actual hand drawn.
Here's my
know.
plan. Here's my plan. I'm gonna finish War Party. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
release War Party. Then I'm gonna follow up War Party with Part 2, and I'm gonna make so much money, I'll just finance Dogtown myself. The rest of it myself. Okay, that's my plan.
There we go. Shoot for the
And I
stars.
wish you luck in that. What's your
you
plan
know.
with Dogtown when you're finished with it? I mean, you're about halfway.
Well,
through.
that's a good question, because originally, it was the usual. I've had some distributors approach me, but you don't ever want to make a deal with a distributor until you're done with the movie, because
Yeah.
the problem is if you make a deal before you're done, unless they're giving you production money to finish it, which they never do,
Yeah.
unless they're doing that, all you're doing is signing a bad deal, because when you have the film done, you're in a much more powerful position to negotiate because they can see the quality of it.
Are
man.
you planning on going with an indie film festival or something like that to premiere it, or
Are there going to be film festivals? Oh, I will say this. I will
a
say this.
digital film festival?
This'll really blow your mind. I did a 2-minute trailer. It took me like a year to do. I took segments from the storyboards from the whole movie, put those segments together for a trailer, and then animated just those shots. Got the full 2 minutes done, fully animated, music and everything. My producer was at Sundance last March or February, and she was at one of those pitch things where they have like 500 executives and people sitting in the theater, and basically there are slots to pitch. And she knew the lady running that program at the time at Sundance, and the lady goes, "Do you want to show the Dogtown trailer?" And she goes, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Yeah, just get up there and show it." Everybody's out there pitching their script. Some people have things to show, some don't. She gets up there, she shows the 2-minute trailer at Sundance for a theater full of 500 people, industry people, a lot of them. And they started clapping and cheering after this 2-minute trailer played
Holy shit, that's
at
awesome.
Sundance.
Hell
And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, and she called me, she goes, "Oh my God, this is like, people are freaking out over this movie. We're going to get this movie funded, we're going to get the money." This was like 3 weeks before the shutdown, okay? Yeah, and I'm like, she was talking to distributors and producers, people
No,
that want to
dude.
put money in,
Well,
and the whole thing just stopped.
No, I
you know,
feel you.
and-
Look, my agent had me down to go to Dubai, to go ahead and do shows in Dubai because, she thought I'd do good up there, and then COVID hit, and it all went poof. It
Yeah.
was the greatest
And I mean,
magic trick in the history of
but here's the thing: the studios, it looks like, are looking to do more and more animation, since, of course, with the COVID, it's so much more difficult to do live action.
Right.
So and here's the thing: if your trailer got that reaction, then it's going to get that reaction again later.
Right.
It's going to get that reaction to anybody that sees it. Do you know what I'm
The
saying?
thing-
I'm
like
not
about
pulling
it-
any punches, man.
Yeah,
It's a great. I'm just gonna say this. It's a great film.
Yeah.
Like I set out to tell a great story. I've shown the storyboard, the whole story reel in theaters for people, the whole movie, like in storyboard form, and people were in tears at the end of the storyboards. Right?
Nice.
It's a great film. It's just the way the thing's structured, the way the business works, especially when you've already raised money privately, to get the rest of the money to finish something is very, 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 very difficult unless someone was on board from the beginning. So it's just one of those things that I have to. I mean, if I got to crowdfund the freaking thing like we're doing with comics and
I
just
think
go
you'll do
straight
well.
to the,
Honestly, I mean,
you know,
the one thing that stands out to me about Dogtown is that it doesn't look like anything else that's out there. It looks more like an
Exactly.
artistic piece than well, like just an animated movie.
No,
Like a
yeah, I
standard
mean,
animated
well,
movie. That's
It looked to me like a cross between something like Watership Down or the Plague Dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ralph Bakshi. And
Yeah.
I thought, what a strange,
you called it.
interesting combination that is. And if you're someone like me and you have like a soft spot in your heart for animals, and a absolute loathing and contempt for these
Wussy.
MFers, the things that they, I had to do research for a short story that I wrote for a backup feature for Adam Lawson's Kill Journal, and where I had to go and do this research under dogfighting, and I always love doing research. You know what I'm saying? If I'm
Right.
writing like an Aztec mummy character, I'll go and read 3 books about the Aztecs, even though I'm not going to need to like use 99.9% of the research that I'm doing.
Right.
Love research. That research though was brutal.
Yeah, it's touchy.
Oh.
And the thing is, here's the thing, and that is something we've been fighting is, I have had people go, why would anybody want to watch a movie about dog fighting? And I say,
Right.
well, listen, this is animated, so you're not seeing real dogs.
Right.
And it has a upbeat, actually hopeful ending. It's not all just horror
It's a
and terror.
downer.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
more, think of it more like Gladiator, where he's thrown into this thing and he's got to fight or die. It's really more like that.
Yeah.
It's not a disturbing movie. There are
Right,
there are
right.
moments, but it's not a disturbing film.
Right.
But unfortunately, when you say dog fighting, people automatically they go, oh gosh, that's
yeah,
like
it's a dark subject. Yeah.
I can't watch that. I had one guy, he invested in my previous projects. He wouldn't even watch the trailer. I said, just watch the trailer, like, because he's rich. I mean, he's invested probably almost $100,000 in my previous projects.
Yeah.
I could not get him to even watch the trailer.
Oh, that's-
Because once I told him what it was about, he went, and I was like, man,
Failed,
this
huh?
is, dang, dude, you're, so that's just the nature of when you do stuff that's controversial or that, that might be a little unpalatable for people, you run into that.
Well,
There's really not much you can do about it.
I mean, these are scum of the earth that do this kind of shit too. I mean, because we've like you got to dog pound and shit like that. Like if a dog has been like, at least when we were looking for a dog like to rescue, if that dog was involved in any way in dog fighting, it was put down immediately. Like there's no second chance for some of these dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then they actually buy dogs from the pound, or they tell you don't give away puppies because
Fuckers,
if you
man.
give away puppies, what they do is they use those puppies as chew dogs to train the. You notice, Brian, because you did
They
all the
are
research.
the very.
Yeah.
They are. The people that
The
do this shit.
scum
The
of the earth.
very scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, well, Harry, we're here to talk about War Party. It's
I
like,
know,
Dogtown!
sorry about
I'm
that,
like,
man.
We're about to
it's
have a war party.
not a problem.
Right?
Hey,
We need to bring everything down.
Hey, here's the thing. War Party's doing great. If you want to see the trailer, I'll show you the trailer for Dogtown. I'll show it for you right now if you want me to screen
Yeah,
share.
man, definitely. Sounds good, man. Show the
All right,
world.
let's do it. I mean, I'm not here with my cup out going, please support Work Party. I mean, it's doing better than I ever could have dreamed. So
It's
let's.
a badass looking book, man.
Thanks,
oh my
man.
god, the art is spectacular.
All right, I just gotta make sure I have my sound because it's always kind of weird with the audio.
When
Where
you
do
share-
Yeah, is it
All right.
Sharon? There we go. Now, where do I select the audio thing? It's always weird to me because I'm in Firefox, and Firefox gets weird with the audio and streaming.
If you can, try to use Google Chrome. Because,
Okay, let me do that. Let me
Chrome's
do
a
that
lot
then.
better.
Yeah, Firefox is buggy when it comes to like a lot of plugins and that sort of a thing.
Okay, let me.
Did you join the stream through Firefox, or did you join the stream
Yeah.
through Google Chrome? Because that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can share a Firefox window if you join through Google Chrome. You know?
Oh, I gotcha. Well, what if I?
see if it'll play, and
see
we'll
if it'll let me
find
do
out.
Chrome.
I mean,
Hang on.
Yeah, it's all good. We're casual here. Don't worry. Don't worry. Not putting any pressure on you.
you got to do it now, though.
Do you see it? Do you see it? You're not seeing it, are you?
No, something's going on with your audio, though. Like, it just fuzzed out like big time.
Yeah, it may not work.
You want to send me the link, and I'll go ahead and...
Yeah, I can do that.
post
It's
it
a,
through
it's a, yeah, it's a private link because I don't own the rights to. You won't get. Well, you know what? You
I
might
don't
get
know
in
if I can
trouble.
log into it, huh?
It's
Yeah.
not that. It's not that. I might not. You're not worried about getting a strike or anything, are you?
Maybe.
Only if it's
I don't own
play
the.
it.
I don't own the music yet. I'm gonna license it obviously for the movie, so it's a private link because I don't want it. I didn't want it out there with the
Or you
music.
could play it without sound too.
Yeah, you
I
want
mean,
to play it without sound? No? Okay.
The sound is everything.
Gotcha. Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. It's up to you, man. You
Yeah.
know.
No, it's up to you too, because if it's your baby, it's your thing. So
I'm cool with it. It's fine.
Screw it. Let's do it. Fuck it.
we'll do it
All
live.
right, you ready? Let's do it live. All right. It's on YouTube. I'll just argue with you. This isn't my first rodeo, like arguing with YouTube.
This is all a big mistake. I have a master right here in the city. I'm trying to get home to him.
It's my job to teach you how to stay alive. And staying alive means winning.
I'll stay in my corner. I'll refuse to come out.
You fight.
Now place your bets and everybody shoulder, shoulder, money down, your town.
Rusty, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be like this. There's a better life out there beyond Dogtown.
I'm a champion. Do you know what that means, Jumper Max? That means my children and their children, they'll all be fighters.
I'm doing you a favor, you ungrateful cur. You may have the others fooled, but not me. You're right, Jumper. They were never loyal to us. I don't hold back for anybody. Bring it, kid. With each fight, we both sold pieces of our soul. How many pieces do you have left, Molly?
So you see why you need the sound, that song.
Yeah, awesome.
Nah.
Awesome. Oh man, powerful feels there.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Thanks.
Oh, beautiful, dude. What's George Foreman like?
I'm saying.
He's just a very, very calm, gentle giant, like Grandpa. How you
Yeah.
doing? And he kept asking me, "Am I giving you what you want?" I said, "George, I just want you. You don't have to act. You
Does he make you
don't.
guys
This,
food, like on set?
huh?
Does he make you guys food on the set?
No, but I had to provide plenty of myself, so we had to pull. I had to fly to Houston to record him, so we had the full spread in there. And he came in. He's playing a retired fighting dog that was the champion.
I know,
So
yeah.
That's
cool.
my point. I'm like, George, I just want you to be George.
Yeah.
Just and he said when he read the script, he goes, "I feel like you knew me." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, what I was reading, that's exactly how a fighter feels when they're older. The regrets, hitting those guys you later became friends with, beating the crap out of guys that you wish you hadn't beat the crap out." Like, he's talking about Joe Frazier, because Joe Frazier's was a great guy, and George Foreman destroyed him multiple times. I mean,
he
just
did.
oh god, and and they became friends with him. People like Ken Norton and all those guys are dead.
Well, it's like
George was the only one left.
Tyson. Tyson.
Yeah, and Holyfield. I mean, they're like
he's
buddies
best
now.
friends with Holyfield now. In fact, I was watching a video where Tyson runs behind Holyfield. Holyfield was speaking at a conference, and he grabs him by the shoulders. He's like,
hey, props to Holyfield for having a sense of humor about that, because it'd be very easy to hate somebody forever for doing that.
You're not
and
supposed
those
to
guys
eat
are just
the
like
other fighter. Like, you realize that, right? You're not supposed to eat the other fighter. You're supposed to hit him with like your fists.
Your lunch.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when I started researching this, I really got into watching old boxing matches. You want to watch great boxing?
Yeah.
Watch boxing from the 90s and earlier. Go back to the 60s and 70s, the 50s,
my
the
God.
40s. Some of those fights are almost like these guys are killing each other. They could never do that today. But I watched Foreman and Frazier. He knocked Joe Frazier down 6 times in 2 rounds. 6 times, and Joe kept getting back up. And there's one time he hit him like with an uppercut. And Joe, a commentator said, it's the only time I ever saw a guy get hit and he went up, not down. Like, he hit Frazier, and Frazier was like, like this, and he just goes and collapsed like a rag doll. But, it's brutal. Another great fight is Hagler versus Hearns. Look that one up.
Yeah.
Oh, my
God. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that on Super Fights. I think that was on ESPN. And I'm not a sports guy at all. But I love classic boxing, man.
That's awesome.
Sweet
That's
science, man.
That's the best boxing match probably in history. I'm not kidding.
Amazing.
And they're not heavyweights. They were I think they were
Welterweights?
welter, or they might have been lower than that. They might have been light heavy. I don't know, but those 2 guys were determined to kill each other in the ring. Like, they were just, and they had to carry Tommy Hearns out of the ring. They had to carry him like a baby.
I think like the fights aren't as good now as they used to be because people actually died. I remember watching a guy get killed in the ring.
They stopped the fights a lot sooner, which is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see people die to
but
entertain
the problem
me.
is that if you ask somebody, "Are you good? Can you continue?" A fighter's always going to say,
That's the problem. Here's the problem.
Yes.
Here's the problem I have with it. The fighters know what they're doing. They're warriors, right? They're in there to win. And you ask most fighters, they'll die to win.
Yeah.
That's their choice. So if they want to keep fighting, I think, in my opinion, you should let them keep fighting, regardless of the consequences.
See,
I do.
I would disagree. I would disagree. There was this incident, right, with this female MMA fighter, and her ear, I guess she had like a cauliflower ear, it exploded during the fight.
Get out of here, dude! That's awesome.
And she's like, fuck it, I'll keep going. And like, I would be like, honey, I'm sorry, but your ear is hanging by a thread.
No, I get it.
MMA is brutal.
Right.
MMA is brutal.
Fighters are a different breed, brother.
They are. They
are.
are.
Still kept fighting with a broken arm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know. I have a friend that did a little amateur boxing and did the boxing workout, which is fun supposedly, but also brutal.
Yeah.
And he got to experience that thing that I always found like I don't know, kind of entertaining in fights where somebody gets hit and they keep fighting and suddenly their legs drop out from underneath them and they're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they had
your legs turn to jelly.
Yeah, he actually experienced that. He was just like, boom. Yeah, come on, mother. Oh shit.
It's when you hit that chin, when you get that chin and you don't knock them out, it turns everything below the waist off.
Oh man.
They had a fight where Kimbo Slice was fighting this other dude, and they thought Kimbo was running out of gas, right? But really, he was in the middle of a heart attack in the middle of the ring.
Oh,
Both guys went to the hospital.
It was Kimbo Slice, and it was fuck, what was that dude's name?
He was Dada 3000.
Yeah, Dada 3000. That's who it was.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they should let people kill each other in the ring. What I'm saying is
know.
I've seen fights stop
I
that
know.
I'm like, there's no reason that fight should have stopped.
Yeah.
That there
I
is
agree.
nothing
I
going on here. You know, you guys are ruining the entertainment. These people are here to give us
but
a
let's be
show.
honest. Like, these guys train to kill each other. Like, that's what they're
Joe Frazier said. Joe Frazier said on the Howard Stern show. He said, way I see it, we're like modern day gladiators. Why not die?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that's why the best fighters are the guys that come from. They're usually the guys that come from the streets, or the guys that don't really have anything else. They have nothing else to lose.
I
But
feel the same way about art.
yeah. Why not
Hey,
get
we're gonna
carpal
start
tunnel
off-
syndrome?
Hey man, I would love
Artist
to do a
gladiator
boxing
match.
comic. I would love to do a boxing comic. I always wanted to do a comic book adaptation of Robert E. Howard. He did these boxing stories. You know, the guy who created Conan and Kull and Solomon Kane and all these other great characters. He also did these boxing stories about the Iron Man, which is to say it was a certain type of fighter that had like abnormal bone density. There was this guy called, this is the best name ever, and it's a real guy, Joe Grimm.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
That is
And
fucking
nobody
awesome.
could put this guy down because he had this abnormal bone density. And there was like this one fighter that was in there, and he was like, you know what? I'm just going to unload on his face everything I got. Boom, 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 right? During the round, just destroyed his face. His ringman had to, like, his front lip was wedged between his two front teeth.
Oh.
He had to go in there with a pocket knife and pull it out. And the other guy's just
dude.
like,
That's
he's
awesome.
not. Yeah, he's got to be done. And Joe Grimm comes out. His face is like sliding off like a slice of pizza.
Oh
and he's
my
just like,
God.
yeah, come on, motherfucker. And the other guy was just like, that's it. But so nobody could put him down, but he wasn't a good boxer. So then his lifespan in the sport was very short, because then they realized there's no way I'm knocking this guy out. I'm getting him on points.
They had
Yeah.
I used to follow this guy, and he used to be a Muay Thai fighter. You know,
Oh
Muay Thai.
man, yeah.
But he was in the middle of a fight, and he got retired. And the reason why he got retired is because they punched through his cranial cavity right here into his sinus. And
Yikes.
he said he had never been hit that hard before in his fucking life. And it
Well,
came
dude,
That's the time
in-
to retire.
The
Yeah.
Muay Thai fighters, you know what they do? They beat on banana trees to increase their bone density.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it creates like micro fissures that like fill with like calcium deposits.
Yeah.
So they turn their
Spurs.
Yeah, they
Bone
turn
spurs,
their elbows, their shins. They could use their shin. I mean, I bang my shin into like a coffee table. I'm like, "Ugh!" for like a half an hour. These MFers are beating on banana trees with their
shins and shit
shins,
like that, yeah.
and
Yeah.
they kill all the nerves. So then they get to use that as like the bones as just like bludgeoning instruments.
Well, that was George. I mean, George would never pretended to be a great boxer, like technique wise.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be.
Didn't
George
need to
he'd come in the ring and he'd just throw those bombs at you. And I mean, that's why Joe Frazier, he just destroyed him. Like Joe Frazier was unbeatable. He beat Muhammad Ali. He beat everybody.
Oh man, that
And he
reach.
got in the ring, and it was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, and George just destroyed him. If you ever seen him fight Jerry Cooney, do you remember Jerry Cooney?
Yes. Oh, gentleman Jerry Cooney.
Yeah. I mean, he puts him down like
Yeah, he
a
did.
sick
That-
dog. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
that was
nasty.
not pretty.
Yeah,
No.
Foreman was a beast.
Gosh, and the only reason Muhammad beat him, and it's why he's considered one of the greats, is he beat him with strategy. He knew he couldn't go toe to toe with him. He had to lean on the ropes.
The
And you
rope
notice he never fought him again.
Dope.
Yep,
Yeah, and he never fought him again.
Yeah, well,
So-
I mean, that's the thing about Ali. I mean, to me, the greatest ever. And the people that could test that, I'm like, you also have to remember, he never boxed when he was in his prime.
Who?
Because he was banned from the sport because he wouldn't go.
Oh yeah,
Vietnam.
because of Vietnam, right?
Because those Viet Cong ain't never done nothing.
You
to
wouldn't
me.
say that was his prime when he beat Joe Frazier? in the rematch?
No, I mean, I'm saying, like, not as, like, somebody that's, like, a boxing aficionado or anything. I'm saying, like, technically, the time that's supposed to be a
Is
boxer's
later.
prime, he never boxed
I mean,
during that
There's
period.
an argument to be made that those years off actually made him
Maybe.
as good as he was for his longevity. Because
Maybe.
if he would have been fighting killers as the world champion, and they would have been gunning right for him, by the time him and Frazier would have matched up, he would have had already a lot of wars,
That's a good point.
you know?
That's a good
So-
point.
Yeah, it's
Everything happens for a
boxing's one
reason,
of those.
guys, but
It's one of those weird things that you're like, and we never got to see Larry Holmes and George Foreman. We never got, like there's certain fighters we never got. There's some fighters you wish you had seen. I wish, honestly. I mean, a lot of people diss him, but he was actually a really powerful hitter. Was Tommy Morrison? Tommy Morrison had a left hook that would knock you to Mars. Like, he was powerful. But and I always would love to see Tommy Morrison and Mike Tyson. But what destroyed him was when he went up against Ray Mercer. If you want to see a nasty knockout, Ray Mercer, like, oh God, it's like Tommy's like,
Bell. Yeah.
yeah, and he was beating him. Tommy was winning, and then he got a little
Overconfident.
shook up. Yeah, and I mean, when Ray, that was the reason why they called him Merciless Ray Mercer. once he started unloading, it was like he was like, I'm like, it's like,
I remember when they had a weigh-in with Mike Tyson in his prime, and that dude was scary, dude.
Oh my
Like, he
God.
was just in his speedo, and I was like, who would jump in a ring with something like that?
We thought at that time that nobody could beat him. That he
Dude,
was
just
invincible.
muscle. He was just a slab of muscle with no
And-
fat. It was
And
crazy.
the fights weren't even fights. It was like
No.
ding ding boom boom.
2
ding,
round,
ding.
1, 2, maybe 3. Yeah.
Can't call
Yeah.
that a fight.
it was a
That's a
massacre. Like, how long is this guy
they were
gonna
like
last?
executions. These guys were just
Yeah.
walking into the ring and just bing.
That hurt Mike in the long run, though, because when you're so used to knocking people out, you don't have to go the distance.
Yep, no stand.
When he had to start going beyond round 3 or 4, he'd get frustrated. He's like, why isn't this guy going down?
I always thought Mike was a meathead too, like, because the media and everybody like that made Mike out to be like
He's very well read.
He is.
If you ever seen like Mike do
interesting
his
guy.
spoken word thing, where he gets up on stage and he starts talking about his life, that dude's fucking smart. And honestly, I became a fan of Mike Tyson because of that, not really because of his fighting days. Because I was like, he's such a good guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
it
just
was
he went astray because he needed that
Customato.
father figure in Customato.
Died,
And when
yeah.
Customato died,
Yeah.
that's
Done.
when everything went off the rails because he needed that stern.
Well, it was
father
also
figure
because
to
of that
keep his ass in
demon
line.
that he married.
Yeah,
from,
well,
Yeah.
That was
Well,
part of it.
and Don King. I mean, Don King will ruin
Don
and
anybody.
Don King. you know.
Speaking of pieces of shit,
All right, guys. I actually gotta drop out of here. I'm starting a stream in a couple minutes, but
See you guys.
it's nice coming on.
take care,
Professor
Ace.
Murph,
Good.
man. Even if you have to crowdfund that movie, do it.
He
That's
did.
what I'm
He
saying.
did
man.
it twice
That's what I'm
already.
saying.
Well, not in pieces, but when I talk, I'm talking 6-figure crowdfunding to finish it. That's what it would take. So
You need
it's,
it? Yeah,
Hey,
dude.
go
Like
for
a lot of
it.
money.
Go big or
It
go
can
home.
You take
Take care,
it easy.
Edwin.
Peace.
see you, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised the SPCA or something like that, or the Pitbull.
We
Rescue or
approached
something
them
like
all,
that.
I was
but
thinking too.
we approached them all. But here's the problem: there's lots of things. Number one, when you go to a nonprofit organization, they're trying to get money for their organization.
Yeah.
So they don't want to necessarily give money to what you're doing, even though that would reach far more people than any one of their public service announcements would.
Yeah.
But they don't
Exactly.
see it that way. They're like,
Right.
what? We're trying to raise money for our organization. Why are we going to give it to this movie? So there's that. There's also the stigma of pit bulls that they're trying to shed, and they don't like something showing pit bulls fighting because they believe, this is what I've heard from some, not all,
That
they
is so
believe that
ridiculous.
you're
That makes
perpetuating the myth that pit
Right.
bulls are bad dogs. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's not what
yeah,
it does, but the
Yeah.
point is just the act of seeing a pit bull fighting another dog,
Right.
they think perpetuates that negative stereotype. So I've gotten nowhere, honestly, and I'm just going to say this, I've gotten
crazy,
nowhere
man.
with
Yeah.
the animal rights people. They haven't given me a dime. So take it for what you will.
That's
But,
I
you
own
know.
we own Dobermans. Like we've always owned Doberman, and they have the same like stigma attached to them, like they're bad dogs because they attack
Bodies,
people and stuff
too.
like that.
yeah.
But the thing is that they're not. But they're big fucking chihuahuas. My dog has been attacked by smaller dogs, and he doesn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? He thinks they're playing.
Well, I mean, you look at pit bulls. They used to be called the nanny dog
Mhm.
Yeah.
because there was a dog. I mean, Petey from the Little
Rascals. Yeah.
right?
It's
It was
funny
a-
you mentioned that because there's a scene in Dogtown where they go into like this little museum area that the guy that runs the place has, and it has all this memorabilia on the wall with lights and encased in glass and everything. And the trainer dog, she takes Max in there and she stops and they look up and the camera pans across all of these, what you're talking about, all these iconic moments that the pit bull was the family dog, the lovable
Yep.
dog, the trustworthy dog, the protector,
Yep.
and what has happened to that breed as a result of the dog fighting culture. And she's like, look, we can be something more. We don't have to be doing this. This is what we are. Like, this is what we're
Beautiful.
supposed to be. It's a powerful scene. Like I said, man, when I show the movie, people are they're
Yeah.
wiping their eyes, men and women. So it'll
I
happen.
want to see
It'll,
this movie. I want to see this movie.
Right?
Like,
you guys are like, forget War Party, let's do Dogtown.
I'm serious. Like,
But-
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. Preston, right? Didn't you have like the same? You had the same reaction that I had.
Well,
when
I knew
first-
people, I knew guys who raised pit bulls and they sold them, but he always swore that he never sold them to people who fought them. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, how do
Yeah.
you know that? How do you know if you're selling them to people?
You don't.
You don't.
You see what I'm saying? Because they only
Yeah.
buy pit bulls that are, no, I mean, his pits were fucking muscular, dude. I mean, he never injected them, but it's like it was selective breeding. You know,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
they were, but
It's the only dog that the way they're, because I studied this, the only breed that the structure of their jaw is built like a vice grip. It is so powerful that when they're holding on to something, you have to use something called a breaking stick. It's
Yeah.
like looks like a big letter opener out of wood, and they stick it and they
Yeah.
pry the jaw open.
Yeah.
And they said if you ever use that thing on any other breed, you're going to break their jaw.
yeah,
Like only a pit bull can handle it. It's the only way to get them loose. So that just shows you how they're constructed as animals, unlike any other breed. Which is why when they get a hold of you, which is
They
great at
ain't
the end of
letting
this
go.
movie, because during the revolt, you get to see what pit bulls can do to people, grown men, with guns. But if they get a hold of you, you're not getting them off.
Yeah.
Well, I
like,
remember the
it's-
story about that football player where he used to execute his dogs if they never
Mother-
performed in a ring. You
Michael
know, and
Vick, that,
yeah, Michael Vick, that's who it
piece
was.
of
And then
shit.
I actually
what-
had people say I should get him to fund the movie.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
his
right?
penance.
Yeah, that was
You're
it.
like, get him to. I was like, I don't
No,
know,
but
guys.
I don't-
That's
I'm
I
a
don't
piece
think
of
jail
love
did
guy.
anything to affect him, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it
Yeah.
stopped him at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a peace and love guy, but if Michael Vick were to say accidentally fall into like a vat of barbecue sauce and then stumble and fall into
Right.
a pit full of like hungry alligators, I wouldn't exactly shed a tear. Fuck that
Come
guy.
here, buddy.
Yeah, and they let him back in the NFL, like after all that was
I
done.
know, it's
after he
sickening.
served his, I was like,
Sickening.
what is wrong with you fucking people?
Linda Blair.
He executed a fucking dog, you know?
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
Linda
come on.
Blair, Yeah.
You think the NFL cares about anything other than making money? Give me a break.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah,
a second.
you got your
Linda
buddy
Blair
there?
actually pulled me on the side at a con, you know, because she actually
My,
after Katrina happened.
My
the
little
other day,
rescue. This is my little rescue right here, Geronimo.
My mom's got like 5 of those dogs.
He thinks he's a lot tougher than he looks.
Aw,
Uh,
yeah.
But
He looks
yeah,
like
when
an
I-
Ewok.
yeah, I think we don't know what he is, but he was left for dead in a
He's a Shih
house.
Tzu, isn't he? Like a
They think he's part Shih Tzu, part poodle.
yeah.
But which I never thought I'd own a poodle. I'm not a little dog guy at all.
Well, he's
this
all-
guy,
he's all
this
cute.
guy is awesome. Like he will growl and fight and tug, and he likes to play. And yeah, they left him for dead in a house, and a neighbor literally it must have been a crack house or something. I don't know, somewhere on the north side of Jacksonville. The neighbor broke into the house and got him out. He looked like a ball of brown fur, like his fur had matted to the
matted.
point
Yeah.
where it was like dreadlocks.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so we had to shave him completely, he had scabs all over his body from scratching the fleas. And the first few months we had him, he would jump in the bathtub, and we didn't know why. We figured out that's how he was getting water. He was drinking out of the faucet in the bathtubs. He would get in the bathtub and drink. So this dog like had to survive with no one around. So yeah, he was our little.
That's a trip, dude. Yeah,
Went from the
it's
outhouse to the
surprising how many
penthouse.
people don't take care of their dogs and they just neglect them.
Jesus. It's
My
so bad.
my wife has friends that actually do exactly what you just said. Like they go into people's yards if they think they're abusing their dogs,
Just
and they'll
take
go
the
steal
dog.
their dog. You know,
Yeah.
I've done
That's
it. I've done it to somebody in the neighborhood because they kept leaving their dog out. It's a black dog, and I almost ran over it at night. So I took their dog and I gave it to a better.
Yeah, and it was very weird and secretive when we got him from the organization. They wouldn't tell us where he came from.
No,
could
you
tell
can't
they
post
were-
it to Facebook.
Yeah,
you can't do anything like
yeah,
that.
because people
Yeah.
will try to come get the dog. You know,
Yeah,
if
because
it's
the
local.
law
Yeah.
the law will say like, no, you can't do that. Give them the dog
Right.
back, even if they're abusing the dog. Here's the deal, dude. We had a neighbor that had a pit bull, you know, and I tried to buy the pit bull because they obviously wasn't taking care of it. In Louisiana, your dog needs to have their heartworm shots, right? Because heartworms is
The
spread from
mosquitoes. Yeah.
mosquitoes.
Same thing in Florida here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the dog was beautiful when they first got it, you know? And we kept calling the SPCA because the dog would be screaming in their backyard. And I was like, and the SPCA wouldn't do anything because they're like, as long as the dog has a shelter, which is a doghouse,
Right.
even if it's in the middle of a pile of slop, right?
Mhm.
And the grass isn't cut and all this, and they're not being fed, it doesn't matter. As long as the dog has a shelter, they're good. So the last time we checked on that dog, it was emaciated. It had a rash all over the bottom of its body and everything like that. And they still wouldn't sell me the dog. You know, I was like, dude, here's a couple of $100. Just give me the goddamn dog and just be done. No, it's mine. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's mine. You see what I'm saying? Because it's no longer it's not an animal. It's a piece of merchandise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a thing.
Yeah. And
Yes, man.
I don't
Yeah,
know what happened
I
to
don't
that dog.
understand it. People that do that stuff don't have a soul. I don't get it because anybody that's ever owned a dog, they will like you can do no wrong. Like they will love you no matter what you do to them. It's
my dog-
truly unconditional.
My dog gets the best kibble, but he goes on he goes on hunger strikes because he's tired of eating the same thing every day. So I end up having to get chicken, fish, shit like that, and sticking it in his food. He's a big pain in the ass. He comes and he sleeps on the bed with us. He weighs 115 pounds.
And he's got to be in the middle, right?
No, he's got to be in the middle, of course. I got to
of
kick
course,
him out
yeah.
because he's got to wedge his way in between us. And I'm like, no, you get out. He owns a sofa in this house. Like he doesn't even know what outside is. We were playing one day and I took my belt off. You know, I was like playing like I was going to hit him. He thought we were still playing because he's never been hit before.
Yeah. See, he's the opposite. Like if it gets too loud or people start like if we get intense because my son's an actor and he does monologues and stuff, and my son will like be doing a real intense scene and he just stands there and like goes around the corner and looks like, is everything okay? Like what's because he's I mean
Because
they
he's
must have been
blind,
nothing
that's
but
why.
screaming and yelling. One time I was cleaning my SIG 9mm and I was putting it away and he saw it and he reacted. He knew what it was.
Yeah.
He like started backing away. He did not like the sight of that gun. So I'm thinking, dude, this dog's been like, I don't know where he's been, but
Shit,
it's,
man.
yeah.
That's fucked up. That's the
Yeah, it is.
thing. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like people, I don't get. I think people like they get animals and they expect them just to be trained already, you know, or they don't have to work to, you know, take care of it, you know. And the dog uses the bathroom on a carpet or something like that, and they automatically flip the fuck out instead of training the dog.
They have baggage just like we do.
Yeah.
They have emotional baggage just like humans
It's a
do.
good way of putting it.
Well,
Yeah.
according to the Catholic Church, they don't have a soul. I'm just saying. I'm throwing
Yeah,
it out.
whatever.
They have no
Whatever.
soul.
You were gonna tell Linda Blair's story, right?
Linda was crazy. She's batshit crazy, dude. Like she, I mean,
Wait, when did you meet Linda Blair?
I was at a con and our tables were across from each other. It was me. It was like a triangle. It was Linda Blair, me, and Jake the Snake, right?
Crazy. That's
So
awesome.
That's bizarre. That sounds like the beginning of a joke.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
it
it
does.
was fantastic.
Linda Blair, me, and Jake the Snake walk into a bar.
And well, Linda Blair
Just froze up.
she doesn't like Louisiana because she
There we go.
came down to Louisiana after Katrina and she was rescuing
Right.
dogs because people abandoned their dogs
Yeah.
during Katrina. They left their animals to drown in their house or, be chained up outside to their, whatever. And Linda Blair came down and she was rescuing dogs and cats and all this kind of stuff. In fact, she doesn't act anymore from what I understand. She only does dog rescue, you know? And and she thought people learned their lesson about that, but they didn't. Because people don't really change.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes people like her to go ahead and step in to kind of speak for, animal rights and things like that. Thank God that she does that because
Yeah,
you
man.
need somebody with her reputation to be able to step in and do that.
As a
But yeah, I mean, she grabbed me out of con. And she's like, hey, let me tell you something else here. If you want to learn more about dog rescue. And I was like, hey, my dog's taken care of. Don't worry about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. It's one that's tricky to approach. But what is that? Oh, nice.
Autographed 8x10 glossy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's
So
she had a bunch of those. Like,
So she have like a foundation or something? Like
Yeah. Oh, and another thing too,
That's
like
why
she
that's
won't.
why she does the cons is to raise money for the rescue.
Okay.
Well, another thing too, like they had a bunch of people in line to have her sign pictures of her from The Exorcist, and certain pictures she won't sign. Like if it's her like in her demon form in The Exorcist, she
Oh,
won't
really?
sign there. She's like, no, she's like, that's not me anymore, or some shit like that. Like she's also like, I think she's a Christian or something, and
That might be why. Yeah, she's not. doesn't want-
she refuses.
But that's a
And
really
I'm like-
Christian movie. That's like the most Christian movie.
Well, I was
It
ever.
like,
really is,
also,
yeah.
I'm like, that's what you're known for. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Just to go ahead and sign this.
Oh,
know?
dude, you should have seen the look that she gave me when I told her I was a fan of Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
Oh my god. Well, I would see the look that I'm going to give you when you say you're a fan of Exorcist.
I love that movie. I know it's a mess. I know it's
thought
a
it was
mess,
good.
but
I
I think
liked
it's a
it too.
fascinating mess.
Pazuzu. That's when we learned Pazuzu.
Brushed by the wings of Pazuzu.
I like the way Brian's eyes light up when he says it.
Yeah.
I have it on DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray yet. I'm gonna have
Oh
to
my
change
lord.
that.
Well, hey, we all have a guilty pleasure, okay?
I'm not guilty.
Mine
not
is
guilty
Staying
about
Alive. Staying Alive
Oh,
is
wow.
mine.
The,
I'm not
Sylvester
kidding.
Stallone's
That
Sylvester Stallone's
horrible,
sequel to
yes, that
Saturday Night Live.
horrible, that horrible sequel to Saturday Night Live. I don't know why, but Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever. It could be Saturday Night Live.
It could be
But,
word. You're guilty.
It's one of those
pleasure could be
movies.
Grease
That
too.
and Road Warrior. If those movies are on TV, I can't turn the channel.
No,
I don't-
I'm with
I'm
you
a
on
huge
Road
Mad
Warrior.
Max fan.
Like, I can't-
Huge Mad
If
Max
it's, like
fan.
if it's on, I get stuck watching it. It just
Yeah.
can't explain it. But that's
Like I
just the way
said, it could
is.
be worse. Your guilty pleasure could be Grease too.
Oh, yeah, I don't know
Oh,
if that's
yeah.
anybody's guilty pleasure.
That was Andy Warhol's favorite movie.
Nice.
Awesome.
I believe it. Andy Warhol was nuts. Um,
Yeah, man.
Grease too. Cool Rider.
Cannonball Run 2.
There've been a lot of bad ones.
Oh my god. That I think is like, if you had to ask me like the worst movie ever made, I'd be like Cannonball Run 2. Because like it has to be big budget, it has to have stars in it. It's not like with a low budget movie where you grade on a curve.
Yeah, you can't do that with a low budget. The worst movies have to be Hollywood. Like whatever your most hated film is, it has to be a bad,
agree.
big budget Hollywood movie. It has to be.
I agree. Of course, one of my favorite movies of all time is Joe Dante's The Howling.
I love The
how
Howling.
And how can I look at this and not think of that?
The Howling.
That's a badass werewolf right there.
I think
Thanks,
the
man.
first Howling was good, and then after that, it was like
Yeah, the
I
rest
don't
of the
like they started doing heavy drugs or something like that, and they thought that was good. I don't.
the Howling. Oh God, Howling 2. Your sister is a werewolf.
Oh God, dude, that was terrible.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, Brian. I'm gonna ask you a controversial question. Which transformation do you prefer? Which transformation do you think is better? American
As-
Werewolf in London by Rick Baker or Rob
I know.
Bottin, The Howling?
I know. That is the eternal question. Here's
That's
the
the
thing. When I
Howling.
was a kid, I went with the Rick Baker. right? Because it's with bright lights and everything. But later on, like today, I gotta go with the Rob Bottin. I gotta go with the Howling because it's so much scarier and it's so much creepier.
Yeah,
and
it's tricky.
atmospheric.
It is,
They're
and there's
both
some cool
great.
stuff.
They're both
It's
great.
it's a little long. I know when I watched it again, I was like, this could have used a slight edit. It's going.
But it's so scary.
It is. No, don't get me wrong. It's freaking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
my biggest problem with that scene is not Rob Bottin. It's what's her face? Her reaction. I can't remember her name now.
Oh, Dee Wallace?
Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
She's not reacting the way someone would react if they were witnessing what we're seeing. Like, she would be like, "Oh my god! Oh jeez! Oh god!" Like, she would just,
myself.
yeah, and she's just kind of like, "Oh." Like, I'm like, and you could tell she's not seeing it because they shot it separately. And that's the one thing that kills that scene for me, because I'm like, she's not giving me what I need for this to work. You know what I mean? But
And people forget that's Robert Picardo, who was the
Yeah.
doctor on Star Trek Discovery
Yep.
as Eddie Quist.
he was also Meg Mucklebones in
Yeah, I
Legend.
love that part.
Another Rob
Right,
Bottin.
that's right, yeah.
Rob Bottin was amazing. I mean, he was trained he worked with Rick Baker.
Baker.
They're both awesome. But Legend's another one of underrated films in
Oh
my
my
opinion.
god.
I
Oh
love
Oh
that
my
movie.
god.
Oh
The
my
European
God.
cut
Yeah.
of that's amazing.
It's awesome.
I never
botched
seen the
it for the
European cut.
American.
I don't think so. Like
It's
It's so much better.
It's got cut scenes
there's a
from it.
there's a book that me and Brian are working on that has a heavy Legend influence on
Yeah,
it,
sure
which
does.
is Non-Devils.
Well, I mean,
man.
Darkness is the best looking on-screen devil I've ever seen.
Oh,
Ever.
of course.
Ever. And
He
Tim
looks
Curry, my
killer.
God.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
The giant horns.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had to make like a special mechanism to hold the weight of those things on his head.
It was
like it's hooked
Like
around
his lines
neck and
were
everything.
so poetic too. Like I remember,
It was
like,
great.
Oh,
It's
beautifully
so
written.
operatic and
Yeah, yeah. William
it's so
Blumenauer.
underrated. And the critics
Now I
didn't
gotta
give it a
watch it
fair
again.
shake at all.
It's so
Well,
good,
dude, homeboy, Preston, you gotta get the European cut because the thing is they released it in Europe,
Yeah.
and the Europeans, of course, they have that background with Grimm's fairy tales and everything. They lost their minds. They loved it. It was a hit overseas. And when they brought it to America, they removed the soundtrack, which was by Jerry Goldsmith, replaced it with one by Tangerine Dream, who I'm a big fan of.
Which I like
too.
the music in that.
And I
do.
like that music too. But they also cut like a half an hour out of it.
Yeah.
Really? Holy
Yeah.
shit, dude!
Yeah.
Well, even the scene with Meg Mucklebones, he has an interchange with her. Like in the American version, she drops out, says she's going to eat him. He cuts her head off and he moves on. In the British version or the European version, they have this interchange, kind of like Gollum, a little bit of back and forth with Gollum and Bilbo before he cuts her head off. And that's such a great character. I wanted to see more of her in the movie. I'm like, this costume and the way Robert Picardo like does his body and everything.
Yeah.
Like you could make a whole movie and that could be the lead villain. Like it's that good.
Yeah, it
you
is.
know?
One
Yeah,
of
it
one
is.
of the only Howland sequels that I liked. It was the one where it took place in a circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it-
Howling 6: The Freaks.
Six.
I like that, dude.
I like that one,
was
too.
that was
I
pretty
like
It took
good.
5 movies to get it right again.
What was the bad guy like? What was he turning into? Like he turned into some
vampire.
type of. That's what he was. He was a
He
vampire.
was a vampire.
Okay, no, it was the strangest vampire I've ever. It was
a good
insectile.
one.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
blue
crazy.
skin.
Yeah, that was nuts.
that's-
but I
Yeah,
loved
I
it.
like that one too.
That's the problem with horror movies today, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do Werewolves and War Party is I miss those on-screen makeup effects that you used to
Oh
get
yeah,
in those movies. I mean, like,
Dog
Underworld.
Soldiers.
yeah,
Oh,
Underworld's a
back.
good movie,
Yeah.
but Underworld, when they turn in, it's just it's the
Wow.
usual CGI stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
And there's something magical about it happening on camera, and you know it's happening on camera.
Well,
that-
it's because of the lighting and everything. It looks more like the real thing because it is the real
It is
thing.
Well, they had to
Right,
work
right.
harder, like when they were doing those effects. You
Well,
know,
yeah,
now
that's
it's
why
like
they use CGI.
tell
'cause
the
it's
digital
cheaper.
guys we need this morphed into.
Right.
Yeah, it's
well,
cheaper.
and when you saw films like that back then, you used to go, "How did they do that?" Like, how
Well, that's-
nobody asks how they do that because they go, "It's just some guy sitting on a computer, a bunch of guys sitting on a computer.
Well,
Nobody
Yeah,
cares."
the magic
That's
is
one of the
gone.
reasons why I like 13 Ghosts. Like 13 Ghosts, like most of those effects were done by hand, like except for the what was it? It was the cold winter or whatever it was. The ghost, the winter ghost. Like his hair was all like blah. You know? But other than that, fuck, dude. All of those effects were done with done by hand. Like that's one of the main reasons why I like that movie. You know.
Well,
Yeah,
one of the reasons
I gotta
why
watch
The
that one again,
Mandalorian
too.
is so successful is because of Baby Yoda, Grogu.
Yeah.
Is
They actually hired Jim Henson's
He's a
company to
puppet.
do that,
They
right?
spent
Yeah.
2 years
Mhm.
building that puppet.
Yeah.
And the reason, and the studio didn't even want to use the puppet. They wanted Jon Favreau to shoot a scene. Okay, you can shoot a scene with your stupid puppet, but then you also got to shoot one that's going to be for the CGI, which is what we're ultimately going to do. And the reason why we ended up getting that puppet is because of Werner Herzog, who said that he looked at the puppet, he said it was heartbreakingly beautiful. And that when they were going to shoot the CGI version, he started screaming at Jon Favreau and said, "You are a coward!
Yeah.
You are a coward! Leave the puppet!"
Yes.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you see the latest Dark Crystal? series?
No, actually,
Because that was
I
all
haven't.
done with Jim Henson Muppets. And
Oh, it was? I thought they CGI'd it. That's why I didn't watch
no,
it.
No, they never. And that's one of the reasons why they canceled it too, because they were like but they didn't
Too
realize.
expensive.
Yeah, but I don't think they realized like the second season wouldn't have been that expensive because they already created all the Muppets. You know what I'm saying? Like it was all done, you know? And
I'm gonna be honest. CGI can do some great things, but 90% of it could go away, and I wouldn't miss it at all.
yeah.
It's
I wouldn't miss it.
best.
It's almost like a
best
crutch.
It's CGI is best when you don't notice it,
Yeah.
right? That's one of the things that they do with Baby Yoda is they actually have like when he walks, I'm like, how the fuck did they do
Right,
that?
they enhanced
there are
it.
there are puppeteers moving him,
Yeah.
and they just erase the puppeteers.
Right. Well, that's why the Lord of the Rings trilogy is much stronger than the Hobbit trilogy, because when not just because of story. What's up, Renchi? Or Eddie, dude.
What up, Eddie?
What's up, buddy?
Richie?
going?
2020.
I saw Renchi. I was like, wait, no, that's Eddie. I know that flag. I've seen that flag before.
I thought he
Is
was
your-
a terrorist at first.
Is your heat broken, dude? What's going on up there in Chicago?
I just walked in the house, man.
He comes in with a mask on.
I'm in Florida. I could go outside right now in Speedos.
Dude, me
okay?
too.
Yeah.
Be just fine.
F you guys.
Great
F
weather
you
up
guys,
here.
man. It's cold as a witch's tit in New York right now, let me tell you.
This is what I've been wearing all day. Just workout clothes.
F you, Preston.
Keep rubbing it in. Keep rubbing it in.
Oh, man. And Eddie's in Chicago, man. I remember being in Chicago for C2E2. The Comic-Con there. And I love Chicago to bits, man. But in the winter, man, woo!
Well,
Brutal.
well, I'm working on a high rise or a semi-high rise, 22 stories, and there are no walls up there. And then you think it's cold on the ground.
What do you do up there, Eddie? Like, are you?
Right now
Welder?
we're adding louvers. They're basically, like you'll see a vent, like your air vents.
Yeah.
Well, a louver is basically a gigantic 12-foot by 4-foot air vent that's on the side of the building. So
Eddie, can you
now
do me a
that's what-
favor? Can you make out a will? That way you will me like your sovereign wolf?
No, he's willing me. He's willing me the IP to Sovereign Wolf, okay? Because we have plans.
We do have plans. So you guys are,
I'll honor Eddie's request to cross over with you. Like once I get the IP, it's fine.
I hate you guys. I hate you guys. You're the reason I can't do my werewolf comic.
Yeah, this
Brian,
could
just
get
do
Oh,
it.
we're definitely
this could
doing
get
Continual
spicy, man.
Samurai.
Brian, you just got to come up with something we didn't do, and then we
I
can have
got
a
something. It's totally different.
A-
But there's too
A
many werewolf
crossover.
books.
Put it
It's made
out.
$3.
Put it out.
Southpaw.
Wait, I
About
lost
a
your audio. I just lost my
Rougarou.
headset. Hold on.
It's like basically like you ever see that Burt Reynolds movie White Lightning? It's like
There we go.
it's like that plot that meets Race with the Devil and like the Devil's Reign.
Yeah.
Hey, strike while the iron's hot, man. Werewolves are big right now. I don't know why.
I've always been
We'll
more of a
see,
fan
we'll
of
see.
wolves than I have of vampires, and it always irritated me like they couldn't
Mhm.
produce a good werewolf movie. You know
Well,
what I'm
that's
saying?
because all
And-
you need for a
until
vampire
Dog
is his
Soldiers.
fangs.
And Dog
I always-
Soldiers and
I always rooted for the werewolves in Underworld.
Yeah, and
always.
Underworld.
Always.
Underworld was another one. Like that came out
Yeah.
of nowhere. So I was like, "What's this Underworld?"
Yeah.
I was like, "This is crazy."
I'll let you guys in on a secret. I like Underworld, but I'm not a big fan of Lycan. I actually like the werewolves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
I-
trying
I-
to be
Look
smart.
kind of odd to me.
the only movie in that franchise that I even liked a little was the third one.
The
Was
backstory.
Cool. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
the only
that was
one that
cool.
where I thought like, oh, that was all right.
I like the love story. Yeah, that was cool. That worked.
Yeah.
I like the first and second one. I thought they were good.
Yeah.
The third one, I thought it was like I thought they were running out of money on the third one. Yeah.
Well, what I didn't like about
Yeah.
what I don't like about Underworld is that they're action movies. They're not horror movies.
Dude, I met the guy that played like that big black dude, right? That played in the first one.
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
the,
yeah.
He was one of the
Kevin
main
Gravo.
werewolves.
He's like
Kevin-
a molecular
That dude.
biologist or something, right?
He
Kevin
came up,
Gravo.
yeah, he came up
Yeah.
to me at a con, and he's like, and he's just as big in real life as he is, you know. And he's like, hey, do you know, is any of you guys available to work on a project? And I was like, maybe. He's like, and it's like, okay, can I get some of your art, a card and stuff? I was like, sure, here it is. And it said, can we take a picture before you go? And he goes, yeah, we could do that. So he shakes my hand. The dude's crushing my hand while we're taking a picture, right? Like I don't think he realizes like how strong he is, right? Because his hand like actually engulfs my whole hand, right? Like it's just gone, you know. And
He's
Yeah, man.
so marketable. I'm like, that's not a guy you would think like publishes comic books.
no, dude.
Like you'd think he was like a UFC fighter or something.
Not even
Like-
publishes. Like he wrote like part
Bad
of
Reeves, right?
you know,
I
Underworld.
Frankenstein. Is that was that the book that he was maybe trying to put together? That he was where he was looking for artists. Why he approached you was
This was
for I
years ago.
Frankenstein,
Like
maybe.
it was I don't know what the book was. Like he was there as a guest, like as a writer, you know, not as like Kevin, you know, whatever from Underworld. Like he was there as a creator. And like he had a novel out at the time, you know, and I don't like I guess he was just looking around to see who fit his new upcoming project, you know, and it was like I was just jazzed to meet him. I was like, this dude, yeah, fuck
He has
yeah,
a
dude, he
genius
worked pretty
level
good.
IQ too. He's like a molecular biologist or some shit.
Like I said, marketable. Highly
like-
marketable.
He's
Except
like one
for
of those guys.
after the
Like,
Sci-Fi Channel got a hold of him and put him in those really crappy movies.
oh, no. And oh man, I didn't read I Frankenstein, the comic book, but oh that movie, man, I'm just like any Frankenstein movie where the monster is named Adam, I'm like, y'all do not understand.
I Frankenstein had to be the worst movie. That
I
and
didn't-
they
I
had,
didn't
they had
see it.
good actors. It was the digital effects were horrible.
Horrible.
You know,
Horrible.
for what they spent on their digital effects, I think they could have pulled off some reasonably good traditional effects. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah,
It's
but-
laziness. It's just laziness
That's
because
exactly
the
what it is.
directors would rather just get it done on a green screen and hand it to post. They don't want to have to actually, do the work on set. And I think that's what's driving a lot of that because it's not cheaper. It's very expensive to do CG.
Yeah, no, it's definitely and another thing too is I thought they should have cast a bigger guy for Frankenstein. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or like the guy that they cast. I mean, what was he from? He was
Aaron
from.
Eckhart.
Yeah,
He-
he
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah. He's
was a
one,
pretty boy. Like he's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
You know?
He's one of 3 sexy Frankenstein monsters. There's
Yeah,
the
they're-
thing that they started doing where the Frankenstein monster had to be sexy.
That's
uh,
retarded.
I agree.
That's like a
we're-
sexy werewolf. You can't have a sexy werewolf. That's stupid, dude.
You can.
That's
but
what
you,
a
About that
werewolf-
Native
but you could-
American
you
chick,
think we
you
should
you
know?
can have a
werewolf
you can have a sexy you can have a sexy were porcupine though.
That's like
Right.
having shimmering werewolves, like
Right.
glitter werewolves. You
Oh,
can't.
God.
It's just. In
Well,
fact,
Well, with the Vincent Perez one, it sort of worked because he looked like a really good-looking guy who had a hand grenade explode in his face. Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
well,
So I was kind of like, I can accept that, but like the other sexy Frankensteins were, oh God, I'm trying to remember his name. He was like a pop star in Europe. and he was in
Is that the
Borat?
one where they
Hellboy
3D
2?
printed Frankenstein?
3.2.
No, it's this was the one that I think was with William Hurt as Frankenstein, and the monster was played by Luke Goss. And he was like one of the sexy Frankenstein monsters, where it's just like they just made him look a little pale, and I was just like,
Yeah.
nobody's
I'm
gonna
getting physically
freak out if
ill.
they see
Like,
that guy
every time
walk
you
into a
say
village.
Sexy Frankenstein, it makes me physically ill. Yeah.
It's against everything Doc Salem stands for, right?
Yes.
Where's
Yes.
the scars? There's supposed to be scars. He's supposed to be
Supposed to be all
deformed.
fucked up.
Yeah. Like let me tell you what would have been a perfect Frankenstein monster. Mr. Hyde from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Like that would have been the perfect fucking Frankenstein right
That would have
there.
been a really
dude.
good one.
I
Hey,
love that, dude. That was
Preston,
perfect.
are you more of a Hammer guy or a Universal guy?
I like both to a certain extent, actually. You know, me and Brian's been over this over and over again. Dude, that's an awesome Frankenstein. Right
Isn't
there.
that beautiful? I love that one too. I collect Frankenstein stuff, specifically toys and also illustrated editions. Well, here's the thing with like Universal versus the Universal Frankenstein versus like the Hammer Frankenstein. In the Hammer Frankenstein movies, Frankenstein is the monster.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes,
is
yeah,
the
Victor
monster.
Frankenstein. Well, yeah,
Right.
the monster is just the monster. The monster doesn't have a name, right? But you know, and
How dare
Peter
you.
and
Peter
Frankenstein.
Cushing? Is that his name?
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty much he gets. I mean, he's like a sociopath in the first one, but by the third or fourth movie, he's like a serial killer and
Yeah,
a
you
rapist.
see, that's what he should be, right? I mean, that's a
Yes.
horror movie. Like the one thing I liked about the Universal Frankenstein is that there was no, and I tell people all the time, like whenever I do interviews about Doc Salem, there was no villain except for the villagers in the original Universal Frankenstein.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah,
The
'cause
monster
monster's a victim.
wasn't really the villain. You know? Like,
Well,
and the
Fritz-
doctor wasn't the villain either. You know?
No, but Fritz was, because Fritz was the one who tortured the monster with
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
coated his
Absolutely.
brain
Yeah.
with violence.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say like Fritz was actually just being human?
No, Fritz was a piece of shit, and Dr. Pretorius also is a villain in
But the
Bride of
Hammer
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein was completely different. Like they had a defined villain in the Hammer Frankenstein. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and actually that reminds me of one of the things I absolutely loved in Billy the Kid's Old Timey Adventures, I think it was called. It was illustrated by Kyle Hotz, right? Who I'm a huge fan of, and you're familiar with his work, aren't you, Preston?
Who's that?
Kyle
Kyle Holtz? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was great was that they were looking for Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
And they find him, and he looks exactly like Peter Cushing, and I was just like, oh shit. They came to this guy for help. It's the Hammer Frankenstein. They just stepped in it, and they have no clue.
Two artists that I completely respect when it comes to horror is Kelly Jones and Kyle Holtz. Like
Oh,
both of those
fantastic.
guys. Yeah, like
Fantastic.
Kelly Jones's work on Blood
Yeah.
Rain, Bloodstorm, and
Yeah.
Blood Mist, like Red Rain. Was it Red Rain or was it Blood Rain? Something like that. It's the Batman, where Batman turns into
Yeah,
he
that's
kills
Blood Rain.
Dracula.
Yeah.
And
Great shit.
yeah, and Bloodstorm was the follow-up, I think.
I
And
never
Yeah.
read Bloodstorm.
yeah, Bloodstorm was awesome. Like because they tried killing Batman. Well, they killed Batman, and then they brought him back in Bloodstorm. And it was crazy, dude. Like but Kelly Jones does a phenomenal job when it comes to horror, and so does
Yeah.
Kyle Holtz. Both of those
Yeah,
guys are
both
phenomenal.
of those guys are just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah, they're holding it down. Can't touch Bernie, but
Nice.
there's still love.
Bernie's the best. Yeah.
Bernie
Bernie
was
Wrightson.
phenomenal, but it's a completely different art style between Bernie, Kyle
Oh
Holtz,
yeah, totally.
and Kelly Jones. I think Kelly Jones and Kyle Holtz are both on the same level as far as art goes, because they
Yeah.
both like manipulate shadows, whereas Bernie Wrightson, he did like
Texture.
body disfigurement.
Text.
I'm saying, like he did
Yeah.
some. Can you imagine what kind of research he did? He must have like played with cadavers or something like that, dude. Because I'm dead serious. Because you got to realize there was no internet back then.
Right.
What kind of books did he get a hold of where you got to see the
He
like
probably
decaying
went.
You
Yeah,
know?
he probably. Well, artists used to have to study cadavers. You know, that was the only way they could learn about anatomy. So it wouldn't surprise me.
And
Yeah, like he
I
must
know a
have
lot of
visited his
artists.
local morgue or something like that and just did like detailed drawing. I'm
Maybe he had-
serious. Like,
maybe he just had
yeah.
a copy of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but you don't understand. Like his work was really accurate when it came to like a decaying corpse. Like really accurate. Unless he might have. I don't want to say it.
He might have been a
maybe
ghoul. He might have been digging up bodies. Might have had a little Ed Gein in him.
Or maybe killed a couple of people.
Ed Gein.
I don't know. I like that's one thing that stood out from about like
Was
Bernie's art was that
yeah,
it was
his
it was
anatomy.
like his anatomy was insane and his what
Yeah,
is that?
whereas
94.
Nice.
Oh, is
Nice.
that okay? Nice.
Yeah, whereas like
Right.
somebody like Holtz, for instance, has more of like a Plugish style. I
Yeah,
would say.
Plug was amazing, but Plug
Oh, Plug's
actually
my
I like
favorite.
Plug because of his artistic take on Frankenstein. Like,
Monster
I
of
think it was Sal
Frankenstein, yeah.
Buscema took over after Plug, where Plug left off on Monster of Frankenstein.
Yeah, not the same, man.
Yeah, but
Not the
Sal
same.
went with the what they would like the Universal Monsters look, where Plug actually came up with his own design for Frankenstein. Yeah,
Right. Because like the second look that that they use, who was it? Buscema? Did you say?
Buscema. Yeah,
Buscema. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the look that they gave him was actually the look that the monster has in Son of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
With that fur
the
vest.
flat top head. And
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also they made him mute, so that he was.
I
a
didn't
little
like
bit
that.
more-
I thought that
No,
was
I
kinda
hated
cool.
that. I
Yeah.
hated that.
Yeah.
What did you think of Robert De Niro as Frankenstein?
What? He was in a movie
No
about
comment.
Frankenstein?
Wow, you don't even remember that, huh?
That was the worst, dude.
He
Even the movie cover
phoned
was
it in.
terrible.
He
A
phoned-
sewn
yeah.
together eye.
Well, here's the thing. When you get somebody like a Robert De Niro, these are people who are so talented that they become lazy and start phoning it in because, well, they're so talented they could just, all they have to do is show up and phone it in. And
Right,
then they end up not being present.
Well,
Uh,
if Robert De Niro would have been perfect for Joe Frankenstein, but not really like the actual Frankenstein. Like Joe Frankenstein, the mobster. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Oh God. And yeah, this is I love this edition. It's
Well,
like
no,
the
I'm sure.
essential monster of Frankenstein has a
Yeah.
beautiful Plug.
Oh,
art.
that's nice.
Yeah.
See, that
Pluto
kind of
was
art, I like to see black and white. That kind
Me
of
too.
art, I don't want to see in color. There's
Oh,
just
dude.
No, I'm
some
with you.
art
Like,
that.
certain art just works better in black and white.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
That's why
Like
I
all
love
of Bernie's art.
Savage
All
Sword of
of Bernie's
Conan
art.
was a great book because it was all black.
Oh yeah, man. Oh man, Pablo Marcos and those cats.
Yeah.
The stuff that they did. Yeah, man. And it's like, God, like you look at that. It's the detail is just beautiful. It's a case like, I know when I used to get pages from Adrian, they looked so beautiful. I didn't want to see them inked or colored. And that's why one of the things I want to do with Six Gun Gorilla number 8, one of the things I was thinking of, and I don't know if you're with this, Preston, I was thinking about doing like a variant that would just be in black and white.
No, I'm totally cool with that. I think it'll be badass.
Because I originally wanted to do that in black and white, but black and white's such a hard sell.
Yeah.
But a black and white variant, perhaps.
I'm listening. I'm just drawing right now.
No, you keep sharing your screen, and I'm like, is he trying to put something up there?
I'm trying to get it. Well, it won't come up. I don't know why.
Look at the monster's face right there.
How do you share?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Plug did a great job on the monster
Oh,
design.
he was the best.
Yeah. And the coloring, like with the red hair and the.
I wanted to show you guys my porcupine man, but I can't get my screen to show.
You were
what I'm
showing it
working on.
before, brother.
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
were
see it.
You were inking like the quills.
I don't see it.
Hold on. Yeah, for
Oh.
some odd reason, it's not coming up.
I'm gonna pop
weird.
upstairs and get some tea.
Whatever, Brian. So what's up, Eddie? You
Yeah,
bastard.
Eddie, what's going on, man? Congrats on a killer campaign, dude.
It's great because Eddie muted himself. Like we can't hear him at all.
Can't There he goes. It's all that time up in that those high winds on the high rises.
He's just talking away. Like, hey guys, why they ignoring me?
No, and I wanted to bring up Doc Salem. I read that, and it was totally different than what you advertised in a good way.
I'll tell you, it was a continuation of Mary Shelley's.
No, I get it, but my idea of Doc Salem from reading everything was like he's a monster fighter and this and like because I would get the big kaiju type Cthulhu type demon fighter, like fighting those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I had no idea it was like a crazy like underworld BRPD type book, and that was like
cool, though, right? Like,
dude, hell yeah, it's cool. I was like, dude, because like I said, I was reading it, and as it kept going, you're introducing all these characters and your world building, and I'm like, this is not what I expected. I was like, I expected him to be fighting, because every picture you got, it's him fighting like big giant, kaiju looking things.
My goal was to push the story forward, but not stop the action. You know what I'm saying? Like keep the action flowing while also, because the thing about first issues is you have to establish so many things and give a history and background about the character.
Mm-hmm.
But how to do that with keeping the reader interested? You know what I'm saying? And that was the motivation behind having him fight this kaiju in the beginning and having all these flashbacks. And then I want to make the flashback interesting too. So I was like, make it look like the old classic Frankenstein movie, right? But I'm glad you enjoyed it, but it was the hard part of that was thinking outside of the box of normal storytelling, and that's what the goal was. And then I want to also like kind of showcase the golden age character, but with a twist a little bit. Like he's cracked, like he's like after being asleep for so long and having this chemical like fuck with his body and his, because he goes to sleep. He doesn't go to sleep. He goes into a coma because the monster beat the shit out of him. And he goes like he's out when he conks out, he's got black hair, his skin tone, he's a white dude, all this kind of crap. But when he wakes up, he's this pale, monstrous guy, with this brutish body and all these scars because Igor's not a doctor. He had to stitch him up, and his hair's no longer black. It's white, and he's a ghoul basically, and his brain he's still a genius, but now his brain's affected because he talks like a guy from the 1800s, but he's psychotic. So I don't know if you got that out of the story.
That book, that's a fun book. And then I got to tell you, your little decoder is pretty awesome. You got to replace the O with the A though, because I was reading it, and I'm like, ow, and I had to figure out that the two are.
I know, dude. I need an editor so bad on that thing.
But the cool thing is that, like, I think I sent you a message that's fixable. Like, there's nothing wrong with the story. The characters are well defined. Just everything's good. It's just like there's just a couple things, like you said, in the previous chat we talked, like your punctuations, and it's not even a lot. It's just a couple little things here and there.
Did you feel like you got a whole story out of that first book?
Yes, and I feel like I want more. And like I said, it's fun. The characters are cool. I already have a few favorites. But the spells, I don't know if you've seen it, Murph, but like the spells are in this like when the gods are talking, and when like this witch is casting these spells, you got to decode them, and it's.
Is it like one of those little things you have to slide over, or what is it?
Nah, you gotta like look at the letters and like match the symbols. And,
it's not like Christmas Story, is it?
No.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Well, Well, the
You
cool
got to
thing
put
is,
that in there. So.
I don't want to give, a lot away, but like the spell to get us out of here. It's literally.
What's funny is I didn't even know about Doc Salem until I knew about you, Preston, before I knew about your book. Oh, there it is.
That's the decoder card that comes with each book
Oh,
of
that's
Doc
cool.
Salem. Now, I've gotten mixed results about that because I had one guy tell me it was too much and that he felt like he was doing homework, and then other
You have to
people are
think.
like, other people are like, this is super cool. Like, this is badass, dude. And
I'll tell you the truth. I read the book without reading the spells right away. Like I read the spells, but I didn't read all the dialogue for the god.
Yeah.
And then I came back because it wasn't like homework. It was like fun. Like I was involved with the characters. I was, I wanted to become more part of the world. So I went back and read everything because, it's so many pages, but it moves fast,
It does. Yeah.
Like, it moves fast. And then you still remember, like, you don't have to put it down and then come back to it. Cause I have some, graphic novels and stuff, 48 pages. And I'm like, I got to come back to this. It's just, it's crazy, and then you kind of forget things, but this is, it's badass, dude. And
Is
Is it 48 pages? How many pages is it?
it's 48 pages.
64.
Well,
it's 48 pages of Doc Salem,
Yeah.
like the first two chapters, and then there's backup stories after that. Like you got the Literature Devil story, you got the Six Gun Gorilla crossover, and then you got the Gary the Hell Knight story. So it ends up to be like 64 pages or something.
Gotcha.
56, 64 pages. Now, one thing I did make sure of is like the God code. If you lose the card, you can still read the book and not feel like you're missing anything either. Because I think Doc Salem only interacts with the monster once. Where he speaks his language and it kind of freaks the monster up. And he's like, oh no, he knows my language or whatever. Because he's Doc Salem. That's his thing, is studying creatures and monsters and stuff like that, because he's a monster. And
A monster is a monster. Huh?
and I also poked fun of at cancel culture.
Uh-oh, getting political.
No, it wasn't really political. It was
Like-
just a little thing in there where I had like this crowd of people, because he just killed Dagon, and they're like,
so there's like a monster. What's it? I don't want to give anything
the
away.
Monsters' Rights
Yeah,
Organization.
Yeah, I'm writing the Blood Hunt Doc Salem crossover right now.
Oh man, that's
So I
gonna
got
be
like little post-it notes in certain pages. With
Did you say the blood,
information.
honey?
Blood
Blood
Hunt.
Hunt.
That's
No,
our
Blood
friend
Hunt.
Sim Simon Poitier's
gotcha.
Vampire Assassin book, which I have right here.
I think it'll be a fun book to do a Sovereign Wolf crossover, even if it's just like a backup story in each one of
Well,
our books. You
here's
know
the
what I'm
thing.
saying?
Your world and Murph's world are so similar to mine. Like there's like the main difference between your world, Preston, and mine is mine has almost the same type of elements where there's all kinds of different things. There's witches, there's ghouls, whatever, blah blah blah. But they'll be revealed later down the road. But it's
Yeah.
all secret to the outside world. It's like no one knows about it. Things are going to start being revealed, and the news is going to get a hold of it, and spin things. And but like yours is out there like Hellboy. It's like, okay, we got to send in the monster, the guys.
The
to rank
only
up.
thing I made sure of was I didn't want to introduce the monster himself, like
Mhm.
Frankenstein's monster in that first issue. You know what I'm saying? Like volume 1, I didn't want to be about that, because I thought that would be too much. And another thing too, I thought like people would expect me to do that because it's supposed to be a continuation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking everybody expects me to introduce the monster in this issue. Let's not do that.
I was seriously like contemplating making the monster the villain in like the crossover,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, wait a second, that's stepping on your territory. You've got your own plans for what you want to do with the monster. So I come up with something else, which I think is going to be totally dope.
I was on Critical Blast the other day, and I showed off some of the artwork for Doc Salem 2, and gave him some of the plot points of what's going to happen in the next one, because the next one is going to be about the monster. But the monster, like I told him, I said, here's the main concept of that story. Doc Salem's been asleep for decades. The monster's been awake for decades, and the monster had to learn how to survive, being pretty much an idiot, like he's this big dumb brute, like not really dumb. He's just like, he's a newborn, right, in this monstrous immortal body, right. And I was like, so he had to learn to survive. He had to learn how to be a shark in like this ocean of people, So when they meet up again, like the monster is the head of a corporation, and they do research into genetics and prosthetics and all this kind of stuff, and so the monster has had Doc Salem or Dr. Frankenstein's wife on ice all this time, and he brings her back.
Elizabeth. So that's what you're doing with Elizabeth.
Yeah. So Elizabeth comes back, and this is her.
Because, dude, I do like the way the script as I have it now. Elizabeth does make an appearance, but it's like in a dream.
Yeah.
But I mean, before when the script is finished, I'm gonna make sure that you guys read it over, and I'll remove anything, make any changes that.
Yeah, but you know me, I don't care.
No, I know.
Are you guys? I'm curious. Are you using editors, or are you just editing your own work, like going over it?
I've learned my lesson about editing my own work.
I have too. I was like stubborn because the book was close to being done, and had I got an editor at the last minute, because I had asked Eric Weathers if he knew any, and it would have just delayed everything so much. But
it's worth it.
Looking back, I mean, because I had to keep, I would have to tell him, because he's just, he doesn't know what, like he can spell check and do things like that, but
right,
like when I reread things after I'm getting the letters back, I'm like, no, it didn't. It's not supposed to be like that. Let me read my script. My script would be all messed up, So that's all on me. So I think, I know that for the next book it will be with an editor.
Because my question with editors, when people use editors, are they basically just using copy proofers? When they say they're using an editor, are they using or are they actually having someone who's making story suggestions? And because see, here's my take on an editor messing with your story. I honestly, I don't want that, right? Because here's my thing.
A good editor won't do that, though.
Well, what I mean is like, you think this dialogue here could be like a little more like this, or I guess my point is I want the purest interpretation of what the artist meant to give me, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say a good editor will facilitate that process. A good editor is not going to try and piss all over your work and turn it into their thing. A good editor is just going to like get your work on point, maybe work out a couple of kinks or something like that, point out any plot holes that might be there. They're going to like basically bring out your best work. I've worked with editors in the past and had good experiences. For Six Gun, I didn't work with an editor on that. All 10 issues are scripted. Right. I think it's fine. But for something like Nine Devils, which Preston and I are doing, I don't think it would be a bad idea to bring in an editor, and just to at least look it over. But once again, you have to be careful with the person that you're choosing.
I know Lit Devil is he's going to be throwing his hat into the ring to anybody who needs an editor. And
A good editor is worth their weight in gold. They really are.
What do you think they charge a page? Just out of curiosity.
You have no clue.
I don't know.
These
I'm
days,
gonna
I don't
talk
know.
to Shay.
Comic?
I know Shay and Red Valkyrie, their channel, they're editing a few books, so I'm gonna probably go with them, for the first couple things. And having the first book out, I think, like you said, Murph, like instead of just glorified proofreaders, if they understand the world a little better, they can help, not so much direct the story, but
Right.
keep it on course. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I've heard I heard Fizz Giggity also edit, so like I have no idea like
yeah, I don't.
I know them, but I don't know like what are the qualifications, what makes you, how do you vet
Honestly, if
someone?
I get an editor, I think I just want somebody to kind of correct grammar, spelling errors, and
But
make
that
sure
still
everything's
requires
on point.
somebody
Brother, I
with
could do that for you.
But that
Yeah.
still requires somebody with somewhat of a qualification to even do that. You see what I
Right.
mean? In
Yeah.
other words,
No, I get that. I'm just saying, like, I don't really
think
want
Shay's a
dialogue
teacher.
suggestions or
No.
because if I don't want the character to speak and I kind of want the story to roll without putting like what you normally read in comics, like
Right.
Zowie, whatever the fuck,
Oh,
it just hit me. I know who I need to get. Heather Antos.
Oh,
I bet is she at a discounted rate right now? Is she still at Valiant?
Valiant,
Oh,
what's that?
man.
I'm sorry. Are they still around?
Oh,
You'll see.
God. Well,
You'll see War Party stickers all over that coffin.
Well, here's the thing too about a really good editor. You don't have to follow any of their suggestions. Hopefully, what they're going to do is they're going to make the suggestions that are going to make you go, you know what? Yeah, you're right about that. And then if there's something where you're just like immovable on it, like no,
Right.
it's got to be this way, that's fine. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. You don't it's not like you're handing it over to the editor and they fuck with it and then it comes out that way.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to run. I wish I could stay longer.
Well,
Let's do
go
this
to your
again.
campaign
This
one
is
more
this
time.
is this is
Seriously.
fun, man.
This
Like,
was-
let's do this again. And
Most definitely.
Great to finally get to hang with you, Eddie, on a chat. For
Yeah,
once.
sorry it's late. I'll be trying to do more streams, and I want to talk more about this.
Yeah,
kind of
let's
collaboration.
make some plans, man, or at least get a buzz going.
All right.
So War Party's in demand. Anybody who's interested, he still has a
Nice.
bunch of nice perks on here. Are you going to be eliminating any of these perks? Now that
No, I mean I'll leave them up because it's going to determine my print run ultimately. I've got another 5 or 6 months till fulfillment, so I've got a lot of time, to let it simmer, so to speak.
but on some of the variants, are you going to stop, take the variants down once you go to fulfillment?
Oh yeah, I mean eventually, yeah, I'll have to take those down. But right now I've only got 70 variants, so there's I would like to get at least to 100 on those.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty small run. But yeah, it's of course there's secret perks that you don't see here. I've got issue 0, which I told you about, which is your cover.
Mhm.
I got a handbook which I'm working on right now.
That looks amazing.
Oh, thanks.
That is what I wanted my files to look like, but again, I can't make things, so I have to.
I love your files. I like it because your files look kind of like GI Joe-ish, like they're like dossiers, and I'm assuming you're referring to your dossiers for your characters.
Yeah.
But at mine, I tried to make it look more parchmenty and old world kind of, But we're both taking our lead off of Marvel Universe, I assume. Growing up reading the Marvel Universe and have the
handbook.
bios in it. Love that. So yeah, the handbook is another secret perk. So I've tried to do right by my backers by giving them stuff that only they have access to. So you can't order 0 on the page. You can't order the handbook on the page, and you can't order my previous works for only $25 on the page, but they can, and it's actually done very well. So advice to future campaigns, if you want any, throw some secret perks in there if you don't already do that, because the people who have already decided to back you want to back you. Like they want to keep buying stuff.
Yep.
So, and I didn't want to do a bunch of t-shirts and cards, nothing against that. I wanted this to be strictly a book-based campaign that with a low price point, So, and as you can see, I was still able to cross the 20,000 threshold with a low price point and just pretty much books. That's all I'm really selling is books for the most part. I'm not really selling a bunch of swag, you know, so it can work without having to sort of put too much stuff in there, which I really didn't want to do. I just wanted this to be very streamlined. So that was my goal with it.
That's what I always try to do, is to have like the McDonald's menu, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I will say that
fries.
I do love Eddie's little werewolf. What is it called? The box. The blockhead.
He did a great job with that.
I love that thing. So no,
Well, the swag is cool, you know.
it is
I
cool.
contacted that dude.
But-
I couldn't get a blockhead.
But I just, you know, the problem with things like T-shirts and stuff. T-shirts are good when something's really big. Like for someone to put on apparel, in my opinion, it's really got to be a huge campaign. And I just didn't. I've done T-shirts before. They're a pain in the butt, having to deal with sizes and all that stuff. I didn't want to deal with it. I said
The way I
just want
did
to do a
T-shirts
book.
on my first campaign was the one that I canceled. I was going to offer them as a perk, but I was just going to order them straight from T Fury and just send it to them.
Right. That'll work.
Like I was going to make nothing off of it. It was just going to be part of a perk, you know, and that part of the perk was just going to be ordered straight from T Fury and sent to the customer. That way because I hate dealing with stock and I hate dealing with sizes and all that kind of shit. Like,
I'll also say before I go, I'm never going to do a digital comic. It will never happen. I will never. No, I'm serious, and that's nothing against people that do. I will never do it. You either buy the print version or you can get the motion comic, which has music and animation. Which honestly, if I'm looking
that's
at a
awesome.
comic,
You're going to do a motion comic.
right? Well, because if I'm looking on a computer screen, I want sound, I want movement, I want interactivity. I don't want to scroll through pages. So I never have, in any of my previous books, I will never do a digital comic. You're going to have to buy the print version. That's
So you're
just
saying
my
there will be a
stance.
motion comic of War?
Yeah. It's, if you scroll to the very bottom, it's an add-on. You can't pledge for it unless you pledge for the book, because I want to make sure people read the book and not just watch the motion comic. But it's at the very bottom, and I've done the first 2 issues already. But it's multi-planing, kind of limited animation, if you want to call it that. Multi-planing of panels with music,
like
sound
Watchmen
effects.
or something like that, where it's just minor.
It's kind of like the way you
animated-
see a lot of the trailers done, but imagine the whole comic that way, with dialogue read by art by actors, with
No,
music,
I
with
love
sound
motion
effects.
comics. I think
It's
they're
just
awesome.
another way to experience the book, and it's all honestly, you can't get emotion without music. It's very hard, and what I miss, my biggest problem with comic books is the lack of music. Honestly, when you watch a movie, you're getting that music. And it's very hard to get an emotional core when there's no music. So it
I
just
just wanted
adds
the
another
voices
dimension.
in my head to hum something while I'm reading.
Yeah, exactly. Can you sing to me? Well, but I gotta run, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate
Peace
it.
out,
Good night,
man.
man.
We'll do this again. Bye, guys.
Take
Take it
care.
easy.
And suckers, be winners, not wieners. Back War
Don't be a
Party.
leader. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
War Party's a good book. Actually, another campaign is available on Indiegogo. It got kicked over from Kickstarter.
Aw, shit.
So I'm gonna pull it up real quick. What is it called? It's hold on, I'm trying to bring it up right now.
Now, Preston, now, mach schnell.
Coming up. Knox County is on Indiegogo now.
Yeah, I
And,
saw this. I believe I backed it.
Yeah, well, he didn't tell me that he put it
Well-
on Indiegogo. He said, you know what? Nobody's backing my book. I was like, it's up.
I never even heard of it.
Did he shut down the Kickstarter?
I don't know if he shut down the Kickstarter, but I know a lot of people wouldn't back his book on Kickstarter because it was on Kickstarter. So I told him, I said, do an Indiegogo campaign. You know, I mean, why not? Because there's certain people that will not support a Kickstarter campaign, no matter how good it is. You know, and there's like Kickstarter's done some bad shit, so I can understand that. You know, but you know, so he's got it on Indiegogo now, but he never told anybody it was up.
Yeah, I backed this on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, no, when I posted it originally on Twitter, and because he's a friend of mine, and I was trying to help him out. people like just straight up said that they weren't going to back it because it was a Kickstarter campaign, you know, and yeah.
I don't see any reason not to use both platforms.
No, me neither. Absolutely. I mean,
but
it's up to, if Kickstarter doesn't want your money, then fucking fund and the campaign. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. This looks dude, this looks dope though. I never even heard of this.
Yeah, it's called Knox County, and so Shannon, the guy who wrote it and created it, actually, he created this book based on the place where he used to live in Knox County, Georgia, I think it is, or something like that. And I might have it all back like ass backwards, but backwards.
I think it said Nebraska.
Yeah, something like that. And so he Nebraska. And so it's centered around these 7 individuals right here, and all these different creatures like this scarecrow monster, and also this this gangster mummy guy. Cool. I'm totally dicking this up actually, but he doesn't. I like that he doesn't mind throwing in like adult covers and adult variants of this book. You know, where it's
I was thinking
a bunch of movies hanging out.
Yeah,
in fact,
man.
I'm surprised to tell like Kickstarter actually let this book go.
Well, they
on their platform. Yeah,
they probably didn't notice it. You know what I mean? It probably flew under the radar.
Yeah.
But that's probably also because I guarantee you, if he had made it, if that campaign had really taken off and like the money had started coming in,
it did take off. Like it took off on Kickstarter. Like it made over $15,000, I'm thinking, something like that.
And he got away with this.
He got away with it. Like
badass.
Yeah. And and you know what? I even told him, I like if you watch the episode where I had him on the show, like promoting Knox County. I told him, I said, dude, you pulled off a fucking miracle. Like you not only crossed the $10,000 mark, you crossed the $10,000 mark during the holiday season. You know what I'm saying? I was
badass.
Like, it had to be the boobies. You know what I'm saying? Like it had to be the boobies.
The boobies will unite us.
The boobies.
Hey guys, I'm gonna jet because I just got home and I gotta actually do comic book work.
Yeah, I gotta work on the Blood Hunt docs.
No, I'm ending the show because I actually only wanted it to go for an hour, but we got into a good conversation.
Yeah, it was cool though. This is fun though.
Yeah. You know, we started talking about Tyson and boxing and pit bulls and all this kind of shit. So, and fucking Exorcist.
Yeah, but it's those little, meanderings that.
And then Doc Salem. We started talking about Doc Salem. So of course I couldn't end the show right there.
No, of course not. But hey, everybody that tuned in.
Yeah. Thanks, chat.
Hail, hail, hail.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. We're out of here. You guys, thanks to everybody that showed up. Back War Party if you feel like it. Back Knox County if you want to. And we'll talk to you soon. Oh, and definitely back Doc Salem. You have no choice in that. You have to do it.
Nice thick book, people. Nice thick book.
Nice thick book. And it's got Eddie's seal of approval.
Peace, love, and soul, everybody.
Hi, Marks.
Peace, love, and soul.